Failed Mayor Jyoti Gondek of Calgary has a spending problem. At least that's what she's shown Calgarians in her latest budget. And it is insane. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. I hope you guys are having a lovely morning so far, as it is still early if you're watching this video right when it drops. But have a great day nonetheless. Calgary mayor, failed mayor, current mayor holding my future job, Jyoti Gondek. She has once again set the bar very low when it comes to expectations in Calgary, and I wanted to get a little bit into a little bit of why this is such a big problem, and it kind of resonates with the rest of Canada, and it resonates with what's going on in this country. We see with the Trudeau Liberals, when we talk about carbon taxes, billion-dollar slush funds, excessive spending, that some of those politics tend to trickle down, so to speak. They come down the pipes. Now, there's no politician that can make 100% of the right decisions. There's no decision you can make that's going to please everyone, and the person who tries to is a fool. At least that's what I've always been told. Jyoti Gondek has shown that she has very strong liberal-style political beliefs when it comes to her management of the city of Calgary, as the proposed budget for 2024 has arrived. Now, part of the reason that I have entered the realm into putting my name in the ring to run for mayor of the city of Calgary in the next civic election is because the kind of display that she's put on in the last couple days when talking about this tax increase has me so fed up to say, look, I'm an average Joe. I'm a regular citizen. I'm not a politician, and I've had enough. One of the statements I made when I first threw my hat into the ring was that taxes go up like clockwork every year. Now, every year we tend to see 2%, 3%, sometimes 4%. They usually try to pass it on as, hey, we're going to get a new extension to our light rail transit or LRT subway style system built. We're going to, fix some of the roadways. It's going to, all these great causes. It's going to help lower taxes for businesses, which, by the way, Calgary has one of the largest vacancy rates in its downtown core currently. But what she's shown us now is that, with those taxes going up like clockwork, now usually in an election year, these mayors will say, well, we're not going to do a tax increase this year because they got to get their votes. They want to try and keep their votes. Now, Jyoti Gondek got her seat in Calgary with 175,000 votes out of a city of 1.6 million people. I am firmly under the belief that Jyoti Gondek was placed. She was not elected, and her track record speaks for itself. But what we're seeing here is Calgary households could see a rise of 7.8% of tax increase this next year if residential share is boosted. The increase would amount to an extra $16 a month for the average resident, assessed at $610,000. But here's the problem. And people are going to say, well, it's $16 a month. When you're paying a carbon tax, when you're paying a carbon tax on your food, your groceries, your gasoline, your utility bills, all the fees that come with those utility bills, property taxes, good old property taxes. When you're trying to live, $16 a month or an extra roughly $200 a year could go somewhere else. Families are barely scraping by. And where this mayor gets it in her head that a 7.8% tax increase is warranted. Keep in mind, this mayor literally just announced a $2.2 million water drop style statue to go in front of a convention center. Did we need that? Did we need $2.2 million wasted on that? If you need to boost 7.8% in tax increase, this is the problem with politics in this country, is that these politicians, whether it's mayors like this, premiers in certain provinces, federal MPs, they spend, and then they pass it on to the taxpayer. This is a huge, huge problem. before I threw my hat into the ring, I always said that on a scale of 1 to 10, we're charging people at an 11 and giving them a 3. Well, we're about to charge them at a 15 and give them a 3 because crime is through the roof in this city right now. Um, the extension of LRT lines has been delayed time and time again. Being told that that's being weighted on by provincial budgets, that there's a lot of red tape in the way and delays for zoning reasons or costs to try to bring costs down. The big problem here is that when you look at NGOs and you look at um, programs that are run throughout the city, it would be my guess that if you hypothetically went through the average city and what it spends in its budget, 60 to 75% of that budget, I would say, is wasted. Now, the waste goes to things like unnecessary artwork projects, studies, demographics, extra staff, made up jobs to try and, facilitate places to say you've created jobs for people, overpaid staff. I don't know about you guys, but like I had a friend who used to work for Calgary Roadworks back in the day, who moved on to contract construction. And he was saying when he worked for Calgary Roadworks, like he says, the pension's great. Don't get me wrong. He says the pension's good. He says in an 8-hour workday, you only do about 3.5 hours of actual work. The rest of it is what they call safety meetings, where you're standing around doing nothing. You're waiting on somebody to come across the city to check something off or do something. It's you've seen it in this town a million times over, and I'm sure in other cities across the country, where a construction job is quoted saying, hey, we're going to fix this strip of road, and it should only take about 6 weeks. It ends up taking 12. And it's for reasons like this and bureaucracy, where they're just simply not contracting out to people that could get it done at a reasonable pace, at a reasonable cost. Money is wasted. And this, again, is why I want to run for mayor, to try and get rid of this nonsense, to stop all this foolish spending and start saying, look, if we're going to need art, let's find art from within the city. Let's find people who can do it at a reasonable rate. Maybe get somebody built up in their portfolio, do some local art to promote local talent for our city. Let's stop spending on things that aren't necessary and tackle things that need to be dealt with, like crime, drug overdoses, insufficient space in homeless shelters. There's so many places this money could go towards other than a $2.2 million statue right when you're about to look at this stunned look on her face. 8%. You announce an 8% tax increase and you think you're going to keep your job. Keep in mind, too, it says for residents assessed at $610,000. Calgary has one of the worst residential assessed markets. People are told, hey, your house is worth like $700,000, and then the house around the corner is going for $550,000. They pump it up just to get more money out of you. Homeowners could face nearly 8% tax increase in property taxes next year. Calgarians got their first look Tuesday at the city's 2024 budget adjustments, which propose a 5% residential property tax hike. However, the increase could climb as high as 7.8%, an increase of about $16 a month for the average household, assessed at $610,000. If councillors also approve a redistribution of taxation between residential and non-residential properties. The city is also suggesting a tax increase of 3.5% or $277 a month more for businesses, pending finalization of the 2024 assessment roll. So if a business was to pay $277 a month more when they're paying more for goods based on the carbon tax, when they're trying to keep their doors open, brick and mortar stores I'm talking, not, big box franchise stores that $277 a month doesn't add up for them. I'm talking about people that are barely keeping the doors open right now. How's that $277 a month going to affect them when they're told minimum wage is $20 an hour and like it's just not feasible. Council approved the city's 2023 to 2026 service plans and budgets last November, which proposed a 3.4% or $7 monthly tax increase. That figure can be adjusted during annual budget deliberations, however. The adjustments are required to address the city's housing, transit, public safety, and mental health related investments, according to city officials, while also accounting for inflationary pressures, population growth, and a $311 million municipal funding gap. Well, the biggest problem of all is it says here transit and public safety and mental health related investments. We have none in this city. I don't know if you guys remember, but this last summer, Danielle Smith had to step in with extra police for Jyoti Gondek because she refused to hire any. She didn't want to tackle the problem of drug abusers, addicts, and homeless people shooting up on platforms of trains, stabbing people on trains, causing unfathomable levels of crime that we haven't seen, I don't think, ever in this city. And she still hasn't faced that problem, yet they want to outline it in this budget that it's going towards public safety. Of course, we've got counselors like Dan McLean, to which I tweeted out saying he's one of the good ones. I've spoken with Dan several times. In fact, I spoke with Dan before I even entered my name into the race to run for mayor. Dan is one of my local counselors. He got my vote in the last civic election, and we're very like-minded when it comes to policy and spending. And of course, Dan even standing out today saying, today at City Council, I was presented with a 2024 budget, which is proposing nearly 8% property tax increase for next year. I find this completely unacceptable in a time when many Calgarians are struggling with housing affordability. Higher property taxes not only means homeowners pay more, but also renters. The fact is the city has a spending problem, not a revenue problem. I will not be supporting a budget with record tax and spending increases. If you have concerns, I urge you to make a public submission by visiting forums.calgary.ca/content/forums, so on and so forth by November 20th. Now, this is the right approach. It's not a revenue problem. It's a spending problem. We just announced a $2.2 million statue. People say, well, it's only $16 a month. Tell that to somebody who's renting a townhome that's costing them almost $2,000 a month to rent, or more, depending on where they are in the city. It's ridiculous. I want to hear what Dan has to say about this. Let's take a listen to Dan, and then we'll finish up here.
Today at City Council, I was presented with the 2024 city budget, which is proposing a nearly 8% property tax increase for next year. I find this completely unacceptable in a time when many Calgarians are struggling with housing affordability. Higher property taxes mean homeowners pay more, so do renters. The fact is, this city has a spending problem, not a revenue problem. I will not be supporting a budget with record taxes and record spending increases. If you agree with me, go to calgary.ca and make a public submission.
There we go. So, Dan McLean coming in with very strong words for folks like Jyoti Gondek. Keep in mind, it's not just Jyoti Gondek who supports these things. There's several members on council that are voting on these things. And not only is that budget going to go up 8%, they'll take their self-appointed raises, I believe, in January as well, which usually rounds up to about 3 or 4%. Currently, the mayor of Calgary, I believe, is making somewhere in the vicinity of $200,000 a year. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting to think so. The average councilman, $115,000 a year, and $203,795 for the mayor. Last year, council pay increased by 2.4%. Now the mayor makes $208,000, while councilmen make $117,000. Ridiculous levels of money. 8% is too much. This mayor has shown people with her woke ideologies that she has a spending problem. She's shown she has no capability of running this city. And I can't believe that it takes an average Joe like myself stepping in to say, look, people are fed up with politicians. They're fed up with being lied to. I've had to make the decisions before. Do I pay my food bill or do I keep my lights on? It's never fun for anybody. I struggle to think what the single mother with kids is doing right now. I struggle to think what the average person on disability does in this city, or the average senior who's on a fixed income. This cannot continue and this cannot go on. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Again, I wanted to showcase some of the Calgary mayor's Trudeau-style politics of spend and tax later. I'm sure there's many other cities across the country that behave like this, but I find this completely appalling. And with my name in the ring for this job, I wanted to make sure to showcase this this video this morning. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to leave a comment down below, like, share, do all the usual YouTube stuff if it's your first time here. I hope this video has earned your subscription, and as you're clicking that button, make sure to click your bell for notifications, as less than 100 of you out of our 11,500 rough subs are only notified when our videos drop. Make sure to click that bell so that you're told every single time content drops on this channel. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one.